Welcome, welcome. How we doing, Vanessa?
It's awesome to be here.
Awesome to be here. Glad to be above ground today. Lord knows. I figure they stopped. My old sergeant major used to say if I stop moving, they'll kick dirt on me. He's always active doing something. So guys, today we got Vanessa on. She has created 7 figures in multiple companies in the network marketing space. And there's always a lot of questions around network marketing, like what's that and this and whatever. Like people are scared possibly to get into a business like that. Like, how does it work? Is this really true? Is it a pyramid scheme? I know you've heard it all. So I'm glad that you're going to be here to be able to debunk some of those myths for the people that are out there. Because I know you're very successful at it. You help a lot of other people as well become successful at it. So without further ado, I'd like to know a little bit about how did you get started in network marketing to start with?
First of all, 14 years ago, I was pregnant with my first son. And at the time, I had had a career in Fortune 500 companies, but I wanted to be home with my kids. So bad. I wanted to be home with my kids. And so I was determined to find a way to be able to do that. And at the time, I started a franchise while I was still working full time, but that franchise didn't quite replace my corporate income. But what happened shortly after that is I was introduced to the network marketing industry. And one of the things that I was, like some people are, they were concerned about, is this a pyramid scheme? I don't care how much money can be made in this. If this is not a true honorable business, I'm not interested. However, as I started to research it, I started to see, wow, this is a viable option for my family and for myself. And I started to see the longevity of the industry, and frankly, I don't think it's going away. And I, at the time, launched into my first company. We were fortunate within a year and a half's time to build a $2.2 million business. I was able to sell my franchise and leave my corporate job to be home with my son. And I have 3 sons now, and in that time, I have built to the top of 2 network marketing companies, and now have my own coaching and training business helping entrepreneurs launch businesses. So network marketing is just one income stream that I teach, because now I've done the franchising thing, I've done network marketing, I've learned also how to build an online business, packaging and selling my own services. And so I help people determine what's the best income stream for them and help them to build in that particular venue. But network marketing is definitely one of those income streams that a lot of people have as part of their portfolio. And I'm very, very passionate about helping people build it in such a way that honors themselves and honors others that they want to introduce to the business. Because unfortunately, there's so many ways that it's done poorly that I stand with this message of, you don't have to do it in such a way that you lose your friends over it. You don't have to do it in a pushy way. You don't have to do it in such a way that's dishonoring of others and diminishing the reputation that the industry can have. And so I stand on that platform as an advocate for what it truly can be, because it was life-changing for me and my family. It is what brought me home to be with that son. I now have 3 sons, and I have been an entrepreneur these last 14 years.
So let's dive in on that for a second. What's the most common misconception that people get when it comes to network marketing?
People who are in it, or people who are looking at it?
People are looking at it for the first time. Possibly they've heard about it. They're not really sure what it is. Like, how would you describe network marketing to somebody who's possibly, they think network marketing, they're like, what's that?
Okay, so network marketing, all that it is a distribution method. And frankly, I've had a lot of business owners approach me, and I've consulted on what, if they want to launch into the network marketing industry as a means by which to distribute their products, usually products, but sometimes services. So the beautiful thing, if you're a business owner, about being in the network marketing industry is, imagine that you have this desire to get your product out to the masses. Well, network marketing is just a means where people are telling their friends, and you're saying, listen, I'm going to give you some commissions if you'll tell people. And the beautiful thing as a business owner is that you're paying the commissions on the back end of the sale. So that's the business owner perspective. Now, if you decide to be a distributor for one of these companies, it's such a low barrier to entry. So if you're saying, you know what, I want to add an additional income stream, I want to start my own business, it's very easy to plug into a company that is basically creating the infrastructure. They have the products, they have the customer service, they have all the research, they paid for the clinical studies on their products to make sure it's a good quality product, because in most cases, if a company does not have good quality products, they don't last in this industry. There's just too much competition, and they end up fizzling out. So frankly, there's a lot of products that I choose to purchase because they're produced by network marketing companies, and I know that the quality has to be at a higher level in order for them to stay in business. And so as a distributor, if you want to be a part of a company, all it is you're representing and saying, listen, I'm willing to tell friends and family, I'm willing to build a sales force through recruiting in order to get this product out, and on the back end, you're getting a sales commission. So that's all that it is. And are there some pyramid schemes that exist? Yes. I always look at one, if there's no product involved, you really want to sniff around and see, like, if it's just, you pay this money in and somebody's going to pay you money later, that's a pyramid scheme. But where there's actual products and services involved in it, those are legitimate companies, and particularly look for the longevity of companies, because it is a heavily what's the word I'm looking for? Regulated. It's a heavily regulated industry. And so companies that are flash in the pan, they're here. Like if there's something that's just been around a few months or 9 months and it sounds too good to be true, do your research. But the good companies that have been around, this is multiple decades that this industry has been around and is a legitimate means by which, we're talking about companies like Dove chocolates. We're talking about a number of companies that have moved into mainstream companies that have moved into network marketing as an additional channel to get their products and services out into the world. Pampered Chef, Mary Kay. There's companies that have been around for a really long time that have used this business model, that's all that it is, as a way to get their products in the world, and those who are involved with them as a representative are in essence earning the money from the representation of the products and by building a sales force through the recruitment side of the business.
So if I were to say, obviously you're very successful at doing this. You've done it multiple times, multiple different companies. You coach people, you teach people how to do this. What do you see as the top things that makes the difference between somebody like yourself who's like super successful and the masses of people that don't have the success that you have?
I was thinking about this. A lot of people who are successful in network marketing that you'll see be successful. I've seen people that it's no surprise that they were successful. Why? Because they have placed value on relational equity. So it means that in their life, they've created a environment, networks of people who respect them. So when they choose network marketing, boom, there's like a ripple effect of their network who's saying, wow, I respect you. I want to be a part of your team. This looks like a viable business opportunity, additional income stream I can earn. Now, then there's also those.
Let me ask you a question about that. Yeah. So you talk about respect. How does one get respect? They're brand new at doing this. They just got recruited, or they just saw, let's say a company, we have an individual that does solar panels, and they're working for a solar company, and they're all excited about the product. They're all excited about changing the world. How do they go out and get the respect out in their marketplace, respectively, so they get people that want to either join their team or want to purchase the products?
So a lot of people come into the industry with relational equity, but if you're building relational equity, what my philosophy is one of honor, and I'm sure you can appreciate this with your background being in the military. because unfortunately in our day-to-day lives, if we're in the network marketing industry and we're looking at a prospect for our own benefit only, that is not coming from a place of honor. But if we look and we've educated ourselves on our opportunity, we're treating it like a business, and we're looking at who can I serve through this opportunity? Who has goals that they want to accomplish financially, that this opportunity could be an option for them? Or who has physical goals, if you're representing a product that can help with people's health, or other goals that your products can help with? And what I've discovered in this industry is that if you come from a place of really caring about other people without your company or your product having to be their solution, but you're only coming from a place of service and saying, hey, you know what? Like, I know this is something that you've discussed that you want to accomplish in your life, something that you've shared is important to you. So you're placing high value on their desires. You're saying, hey, I don't know if this is the right option or not for you, but I wanted to share it with you. And if you stay invested in them and unattached that your company or your product is the solution, and so you're not trying to force it on them. I've had friends that they were a no for now, but I was like, hey, listen, you know, when I stayed connected to their why or what they were trying to accomplish in the world, I was giving them tickets to events or tickets to concerts or tickets to speakers or access to programs or sending them stuff that I knew would serve them, even if it had nothing to do with my network marketing company, but they knew that I cared. So years later, they potentially came back to work with me. But if we come from that place of really serving others and not forcing and pushing our stuff on them, then we build that relational equity and respect and true honor that the industry can embody.
But if you got somebody that maybe they're just getting started, maybe they're broke, maybe they're behind in their bills, whatever it is, I mean, they don't necessarily have the ability to send people to concerts or do some of the things you're doing now at the level you're at. What are some of the things they can do when they're just getting started to build that relational equity with somebody?
They have to take care of their own business. So I always say that people buy you first before they buy your company, before they buy your product. So I have a book called I'll Have What She's Having, and it's because I believe that our best marketing strategy is how we're showing up in the world. That people say, wow, I want what you're having. But if we're not showing up in the world and from that inspired state, then who's going to want to do business with us? It means that we've got to do the work in our own lives to say, okay, my financial state is out of order, so let me work on growing personally to get that in order. So how can I serve with not pushing my business opportunity on people, but maybe I'm seeing whom I can serve by selling the products. And if we're in integrity in not, I'm really, really big, that I'm not a believer of like fake it till you make it. I'm not a believer of putting on pretenses. I'm not a believer of facades, because at a subconscious level, people can smell integrity or out of integrity. And you're going to gain people's trust by being in an alignment and being in integrity. And so therefore it means that you do the personal development work necessary and stay consistent in the business building activities that your company would recommend for you. I'm all about following a system consistently and following that system. And that's what it would take in order for somebody who's just starting out. I mean, if they're broke and they don't have relational equity, then those are symptoms.
Let's go back to that original time that you first got started in network marketing, when you got first possibly introduced. Like, what were you doing in your life? Like, what was that instant, like, I mean, because I know you always haven't been this successful, right? We all have to start somewhere. Let's go back to the original introduction. Was this the first company that you entered and all of a sudden you went to 7 figures? Was it multiple companies? Some people bounce around from company to company. You know, like, where did you get started? Like, where was the first time you signed up for a network marketing company?
It was my first company.
Wow. That's amazing. Wow.
So, I mean, in college, I had done Mary Kay a little bit, but
Okay.
not really. But
Let's talk
this
about
was
it, because
the first company.
that's your first introduction to network marketing was Mary Kay then.
Yeah, but I make a distinction that there's direct sales and network marketing. And so Mary Kay is a little bit more of a direct sales model.
Okay.
Does that
Well,
make sense?
can you explain the difference between the two? Because I think they definitely get lumped together.
Yeah, so the difference between the two, a direct sales model typically is where there's substantial margins built into the sales of the product. So somebody can go and sell a product. So like in a Mary Kay, for instance, when I was in college, I could buy packages of the product at 50% off and then turn around and sell it to my friends at the retail price. And so I thought, oh, that's where I make the money. However, network marketing, the variance between what the consumer pays and what the rep pays is very little. So you'd have to move masses and masses of product, and it's not typically where the rep is making their money. It's not a 50% markup. So in that case, they're getting a percentage of basically building a team. It's more recruitment focused. That's the key distinction I make between the companies.
So you're talking about Mary Kay. I mean, I thought they were like a network marketing company. Don't you recruit in Mary Kay as well to help sell other products and expand your team though?
You do. However, there's that direct sales component in it that leans it to be more of a direct sales model. Whereas there's other network marketing companies that maybe the difference that the rep pays and that the person who is a quote unquote product user only is maybe they pay a $29 fee and the rep pays what the same price as somebody who's just buying it off the street. Does that make sense? So there's no margin for the rep to keep in that scenario. They're exclusively compensated on recruiting.
Okay. So network marketing is more about the recruiting is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Got it.
That's the distinction I make.
Versus direct sales, there's more profit margin. But they do some kind of recruiting involved.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So when was your first memory that you got around money as a kid? I mean, first time you became like an entrepreneur. Like, what was the first thing you did? Lemonade stand? I mean, what did you do?
Well, my dad's an entrepreneur. So I grew up the daughter of an entrepreneur. And I remember when I was 16 and I was thinking about my first job. And my dad said, you can do anything you want. You cannot get a minimum wage job. That was his mandate to me, or his encouragement to me. And so I was like, oh, not a minimum wage job. Okay, so what can I do instead? And I ended up doing two things. I had two jobs at the time, saving for a car. One is I ended up working for his accountant, and I got like double the wage of what minimum wage was. And then I worked for a boutique shop, and I used to do modeling for their clothing. And in both scenarios, it was substantially more than what my friends were earning in their minimum wage jobs. And so just his encouragement of that had me think outside the box of like, oh, how can I earn more? If I am going to work, how can I get the best return on investment for that time, energy, and effort? And also keeping his books, since I worked for his accountant, had me be mindful of the entire behind the scenes of what it takes to be an entrepreneur.
And what was your first business you launched into entrepreneurship? Was that Mary Kay in college, or did you do something before that?
No, my husband and I have been married 18 years now, and he first was the entrepreneurial one in our marriage. But I was like, no, like I am not giving up my corporate check, But for me, my first venture was when I was pregnant with my firstborn, and I was like, okay, I'm willing to be risky. And that's when we had invested for 5 years. We were married, dual income, no kids. And those 5 years of saving our money, I said, well, let's buy a franchise so that could replace what I was making in my corporate job. So that franchise was really my first venture into entrepreneurship for myself.
And what kind of franchise was it?
It was a women's fitness facility.
Okay. And how did that work out?
We ended up being #1 out of 10,000 in the
Wow.
nation when we launched.
That's awesome. Congratulations. Do you
Thank
still
you.
own that now, or is it something you sold?
Sold it.
Sold it? Okay. Cool. Why did you sell that business?
Because the brick and mortar business was very involved. You may bring in multiple six figures, but the overhead of running a staff, I did not like having to take my phone on vacation and making sure the manager was opening the store. It was just like, it wasn't worth the overhead of a team, and the brick and mortar was just not for me. And so now everything I do is all home based. I am location independent, so I can take my laptop anywhere I want in the world and still keep my business going.
So you traded the income you had from your corporate job for basically another job with running a franchise. You own the business, but still you're self-employed on that side. And I find that a lot of times people don't realize the difference between passive income and earned income. You're basically just trading that, because if you were to take yourself out of that franchise that you purchased into, what would have happened to that business at that point?
It could have potentially gone on, but it was definitely, like you say, I always say that there's multiple ways to earn six figures, and if you have to evaluate the model to be smart about what you're exchanging for the income that you're earning. And so in a brick and mortar franchise model, it was definitely, you had to own multiples to really get to that revenue creation. You had to have multiples of them, and you had to scale the multiple franchises. Like a singular franchise wasn't going to bring in substantial sums. So basically you did have a job, and I personally didn't care for that model. And the same thing can be for network marketing. I mean, if people don't build it smartly, they can be running around or busy in their home and doing things that aren't revenue generating activities, or even online. I work with entrepreneurs building online businesses, and they're spending their time on stuff that doesn't directly relate to sales, that doesn't generate the revenue. Meanwhile, they're working more hours than people who are employed full time.
What's the low part of your journey of doing like the network marketing? As far as, we've had a lot of success, but I know there's been some low points. If you think back a time right now and the lowest point you had in network marketing, what you were doing, like what happened to you at that point?
The lowest point, which is the premise for my book, Profit with Honor. Okay. And the subtitle is How to Get to the Top in Network Marketing Without Burning Out, Selling Out, or Losing Out. And the lowest points for me were the times that relationships were affected because of the industry. And that is why I'm so big about honoring others and honoring their choices, because unfortunately in the network marketing industry, part of what occurs is there's such an incredible culture that's created in companies. But when someone makes a choice that might be best for their family, and they are choosing to work with another company, or they're choosing to not show up to meetings because they have to honor their family for some reason or another, unfortunately, part of the behaviors that occur is they're cut off. They're cut off of the community.
What were you specifically doing at that point in time? Were you sitting in your car and, all of a sudden you had a meltdown? Were you in your house with your family? Did you miss a kid's soccer game? Like what really happened at a point where you're like, man, I need to, turn my life around?
Two instances specifically. One was that I was doing a three-way call for my business, and my 2-year-old came crying into me, and I was on the phone, and I closed the door behind me so I could finish this call and be quote unquote professional. And I was like, dang it, if I don't do this call, I'm going to lose this prospect. Meanwhile, I had shut the door to my own son, and it was like really painful. And to go back and forgive myself as a mom for that, but also see, wait, how can I build this business in a way that's more honoring of myself, so I'm not having to compromise my relationship with my kids in order to be successful in this? That was one. The other instance was one of the things that I share in my journey is a lot of the healing that had to occur with my mom growing up. And I did a video recently, a Facebook Live, about how to handle your critics, including if that critic is yourself. And for me, my mom was a huge critic in my life. And one of the things that she would do is she would like attack the core of who I was as a person, not my behaviors, not what I was doing, but almost like there's a difference between shame and judgment. And shame is like when you're attacking the core of a person. And in the network marketing industry, I remember there was a choice. The first company that I joined was filing bankruptcy. And I had the choice of like, am I going to wait this out and see if they turn it around or not? Or do I need to make a change? Meanwhile, our checks had plummeted in that company. And I was the breadwinner. And so I was trying to determine, do I stay or do I go? Do I change direction or do I make a move? And I was like, I had to evaluate the return on investment of my time, energy, and effort. And so at the time, I chose to change companies. And I had somebody on my team who responded at a very attacking way, similar to what I had experienced with my mom. And I felt so misunderstood, and they were like using scripture to attack my choice and everything. And I just felt so misunderstood, but it ended up being a real gift in my life because it allowed me to heal and really know the power of what it takes for us to make choices that are really grounded for ourselves. And when attack or judgment comes against us, how we can be compassionate to those critics and really make the choices that are honoring of ourselves. So that's why I'm really, really big in my book, Profit with Honor. How do you honor yourself first? Because if you can honor yourself, you can honor others. And then honoring the process of how to build a business in a way that yields the success you desire.
And if you were going to go back and have a conversation with that mom that shut the door on her kid, what would you say to her at that point to help her break through that mindset of where she was at with it? She would be at that point, she'd be doing something like that. What would you say to somebody who's out there who's going to listen to this, who possibly feels the same pressure that you felt at that point in time and was probably in the mindset, I'm assuming, of, okay, I'm just doing this for my kids. So I'm striving to do the best thing. I want to help the people that I'm helping. And I almost feel bad if I'm not on the phone. And then all of a sudden, the most precious thing in the world is staying at your door, and you would close the door. Like, what would you say to that mom that's out there right now to help her break through? Like, what would you say to yourself?
Yeah. Compassion towards yourself if you've already made that kind of decision or been in that kind of situation. So compassion to what has been, and empowerment for choosing differently. So one of the key things that is what I believe contributes to people burning out, selling out, and losing out in building a successful network marketing business is one of the myths that is build for 2 to 5 years, put your head down, make whatever sacrifices are necessary so that you can live success for the rest of your life. I don't believe in that philosophy. Why? Because I've sat across the table at coffee shops from entrepreneurs, from network marketers specifically, who are on their 6th company, and it's 21 years later, and their 2 to 5 stretch, their 2 to 5 year stretch is now 21 years, and they've missed the most important relationships in their life. And so I'm super, super big that honor, create the boundaries that put your most important relationships first, what you want to create. Don't let anyone else peer pressure you that it has to be different. You can be creative. It's why I empower people how to build businesses from home, where they don't have to choose between their family and their business. I much prefer a mom have somebody watch their kids for 3 hours so that they can be fully present for their business, and then turn it off and then be fully present for their family, rather than trying to do it all and not being fully present to either. Mm-hmm. So those would be my words of advice.
Yeah, and I can speak from that as well. I mean, I was at a point as well where just it was working so hard, focused on the business side of things, that I was neglecting, my family at one point. And I was looking back on it. Those are years you just can never get back, and those are some of the things that are out there. And whether it's CEOs or you know, 7-figure business guys I'm working with, it's the same thing. You know, it comes down to having those priorities. So congratulations for having your priorities straight.
And I think one of the big things is that people have to let go of the guilt. I can't tell you how many men and women that I have to support where they're feeling the guilt from their teams or from their upline that they're not in meetings every night of the week, or that they're not at the latest convention or event or whatever. And I'm like, you know what? Be super, super clear about what you're choosing, what your boundaries are. And when you're working, be completely focused on that. And when you're with your family, be completely focused on that. And don't let us not impose our choices, our boundaries on each other. This is, being an entrepreneur is not easy. So therefore, honor that people are making the best decisions for them, and you cannot impose what you would choose for yourself on them. And so I'm really big on like, let's ditch the shame, let's ditch the guilt. Like, everyone's doing the best job that they can. And let's just bring honor and love and respect to one another in this journey.
So if you could say that a message, maybe it was a question I didn't ask you today, and there's something you had on your chest you wanted to share with somebody who's out there listening to this, who is in network marketing, what would you say to them?
I am passionate about people discovering why they're here. What is their unique message? Mark Twain said that the 2 most important days in your life are the day you're born and the day you discover why. And so I support people in uncovering, like, what have you been through in your life? What's your story? What's your platform? What are you here to share? And your network marketing company is merely a vessel through which that can be done. Or if you have another business, it's merely a vessel. So I'm really big on people having their own umbrella brand of themselves and their message, and their network marketing business being a channel for that. So if you say, you know what, this is what I'm about. This is what I stand for. This is what my message is. This is what I believe I'm on this earth to do, to serve and contribute to the lives of others. I've also chosen to partner with this company, and here's why. And so therefore, you're not selling out, because people don't trust when it's like, whoa, wait a minute. You're like a major evangelist for this company. Like, our trust levels go up like this. But if you know what you stand for, and you're sharing how this company plugs in as a channel for that, if you choose to move on from that company, you don't have to explain that, because your umbrella brand, your message has never changed. And so I'm really big on people identifying what that is for themselves.
Thank you.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely, 100%. Thank you, Vanessa, for being so open and honest. And I know you're not alone with individuals that are out there that have gone through this trials and tribulations, things of that nature. And you're just a light, like a lighthouse for those that actually need help that are out there. So where's the best place that people can get a hold of you and learn more about some of the programs you have, maybe some of your company or whatever it is you'd like to share?
Well, thank you for asking. If you go to vanessahorn.com, I have resources for the inner work as an entrepreneur. I have resources for people who are specifically in the network marketing industry. And then I have resources for those who want to build their business online, and how do you create that message and that brand of yourself. So you'll find those resources free. I give generously. And just like you said, my passion is that we shine as a light, and people say, wow, what's different about you? I've got to work with you. And so I help to empower entrepreneurs on that journey. At least that's my heart.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Thank you very much, guys. Get a hold of Vanessa. That is Vanessa. Horn is HORN.com. So
correct.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you.
Great day. And I look
Thank
forward
you,
to
Daryl.
seeing you
Thanks
around.
for having me. All right. Mwah. Beijos.